Hello, fellow Silver Saints. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Ashley. This is Ernie. And we are in the Library of a Silver Saint, where we talk all things books. I almost didn't know what to say there. I've said the same intro for months now, and I just blacked out and did not know what to say. Ernie's feeling very sad today. He's been for a walk. He's actually been for a jog. Maybe that's why he's sad. He didn't want to jog with me today. He's had his breakfast. He's had a dentist stick to keep the teeth looking good, but he's still not happy. Anyway, how are you all? How is everybody? I hope you're all doing well. I'm in a fantastic mood this morning. Not only is it the weekend, but the sun is shining. I've got Ernie with me. I'm checking out the neighbours as per usual. He always does this. I have just recorded a wonderful Christmas special of Over Dramatic Book Fanatics with the gorgeous Abby, Books and Three Cats. We have just been doing our book awards of the year, so 2025, talking about all of our favourite books in each category. That was so much fun. Oh my gosh, I love her so much. I love you, Abby, if you're watching this. And that was so much fun, and I can't wait. Oh my gosh, a neighbour just got out of their car and they are in a full Father Christmas outfit. Interesting. Anyway, in today's video, I wanted to talk to you all about my 2026 priority TBR. Now, I'm not going to be making any promises with this. This is not a promise to myself. This is just what I'm aiming for. I've got a lot of series on my list in 2026, and I'm someone who is now really trying to want to finish series and complete series as much as I possibly can, rather than starting multiple series like I have a little bit this year. I've been a little bit chaotic with my reading over the last couple of years. Are you quite comfortable? He's laying on my legs. And I think I just need to start getting into the habit of not just starting multiple series at the same time. That would probably be the best thing for me. But I have made a list of books that I would love to read in 2026, and I want to share those with you today. So I think it goes without saying that a few of these are going to be, I've got them in my notebook, by the way. I think it goes without saying that a lot of these are going to be carrying on from this year. So I'm not going to stress on those too much because there's not really much point. I'm reading them at the moment. So I'm just going to mention them briefly. So I will, of course, be carrying on with The Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb. I have just finished the Tawny Man trilogy that I did as a buddy read with V from Books and Cocktails After Hours and Abby, Books and Three Cats. Lovely buddy read. We had such a great time reading that. We are officially over halfway through The Realm of the Elderlings, so we will be reading The Rainwild Chronicles, which is the next quartet in the series. We'll be reading that next year, so of course we'll be carrying on with that, and then hopefully getting to Fitz and the Fool trilogy to finish it off. I will also be carrying on with First Law. So the First Law universe by Joe Abercrombie, it goes without saying. So I, of course, will be reading Red Country, which is the next standalone. And I will probably be buddy reading that with Liam, Scottish Guy That Reads on Instagram. And of course, we'll then hopefully get to the Age of Madness trilogy, which is so many people's favourites of Joe's. They either sort of say First Law trilogy or Age of Madness. I've heard amazing things about Age of Madness. Amazing things, so I can't wait. I would like to read The Devils by Joe Abercrombie as well. And his short story collection from the First Law world, which is Sharp Ends. And so I'm definitely going to be carrying on with those. I'm also going to be carrying on, of course, with Sun Eater by Christopher Rocchio. I'm currently reading book 4, Kingdoms of Death, with Andrew, Brother Grimdark, on Instagram. Anybody who is up to date or has finished Kingdoms of Death? What is happening? Why, Christopher, are you being so cruel? That's all I'm going to say. So we'll be carrying on with that. So we will then be reading book 5, which I believe is Ashes of Man. Book 6, I believe, is Disquiet Gods. And then finally, finishing up with book 7, the final book in the series, Shadows Upon Time, a recent release. Very excited. I will also be carrying on with my manga journey. So Berserk by Kentaro Miura. I will be carrying on with that. I should be sort of around, probably around volume 23 by that point. So very excited to be carrying on with that. And I've also just recently started Attack on Titan, and it's just incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I'm loving it. So we'll also be continuing on with that, which is very, very exciting. Now, I'm also going to briefly mention, I will probably be continuing on with Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. I think it's unlikely that I'm going to finish Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien in December. I think it's unlikely that I'm going to finish it in December. I'm really taking my time with it because I'm underlining and annotating it. So it's a lot slower, rather than, it's quite small writing anyway, but I'm not just reading it because I'm sort of underlining and doing some annotations with it. It's a much slower pace, so I probably am not going to finish that in December. But never mind, never fear, I shall. But I want to enjoy it, I want to take my time. It's my first time reading it. So, I wanted to mention those. These now are going to be some other books that I am going to be prioritising in 2026. My 2026 TBR. Now, this I'm saying that I'm prioritising this. We all know what it's like as a reader. We know what it's like. We know what happens. New releases come out. Somebody tells you about this incredible book that you just have to read. You take a random walk into the bookshop and something catches your eye. You hear about a new audiobook. A friend lets you borrow a book. All of these scenarios happen. You want to reread because you read something 5 years ago and you just think, do you know what, I actually crave that. This is the life of a reader. It's sometimes really difficult to stick to a set TBR. I have to do a bit of both. I have a TBR, but also I like to have the freedom to pick and choose and mood read. So these are my priorities, absolutely, for 2026. However, I am going to try and be very kind to myself and know that, reading is for funsies. We read to have fun. We read for enjoyment. We read to relax. We read to escape. It's not a chore. It never will be. It's not a sport. It's not a race. And good books will be good books forever. Chris and Mad said it best. And if I don't get to these in 2026, that is fine. But if I do, that's great and I love it. So the first priority for 2026, I will be starting in January, which is my read of A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin with Abby Books and Three Cats. I have also asked a few people on the Discord if they would like to join in, and lots of people have said yes. So I have created a channel on Discord. If you'd like to join the Discord, get involved, I'll put the link below. But I'm going to be restarting my A Song of Ice and Fire journey. If you've been on my channel for a little while now, you'll know that I started read Game of Thrones years ago, but I was at university, it was very intense, and I ended up putting it down and watching the show rather than reading the books, because at the time I was just studying so much. I just couldn't really get into heavy epic fantasy at the time, but I am so ready. I am so ready to restart this series. I've been watching a lot of people's videos of people that have been reading it recently. And I was watching Ed from the Brothers Gwyn. I think Ed binged the entire series maybe last month or the month before, and utterly adored it. And a lot of people have mentioned two books in particular. Also, Bookborn recently read the entire series, and I think it's now her favourite. But a lot of people have mentioned specifically Clash of Kings and Storm of Swords as being two of the best books ever written. So I'm very, very excited. I love the series. I have a feeling I'm going to love the books more. I remember loving Game of Thrones, so I'm really excited for that. Another series I will be prioritising in 2026 is carrying on with Mr. John Gwynne himself. I have not read all of his books yet. I have read the Faithful and the Fallen series. I have read The Faithful and the Fallen. I have read Of Blood and Bone. I have not yet read the Bloodsworn Saga. How have I not read the Bloodsworn Saga? I have not yet. And it's a series that I cannot wait to get to. Viking-inspired, Norse mythology-inspired epic fantasy. Have you seen the covers? The covers are utterly captivating. They are glorious. They are everything. I love John Gwynne. He's one of my favourite authors. Truth and Courage. I trust him with my life. I can't wait to read the Bloodsworn Saga. I can't wait to meet Orca. I've heard a lot of people say that Orca is an incredible female character, and I can't wait to meet her. So, Bloodsworn. Another series that I'm really looking forward to and hope I really want to get to this in 2026 is one of my priorities, is the Adan trilogy by Philip Chase, fellow booktuber and author Philip Chase. I am so excited to read this series. I've heard the most incredible things about the series. Again, the Brothers Gwyn talk about this series a lot, and Jake, Nerd Level Rising, speaks about the Adan trilogy a lot as well. And I think it's actually in your top reads, isn't it, Jake? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's in your top list. So I just have to read this series. Philip Chase is a great guy. I love watching his YouTube videos, and it sounds like he's an incredible author too. I've heard his Adan trilogy spoken of and compared to in terms of sort of very giving that really wonderful feeling that the Lord of the Rings gives, but also with a lot of darkness, but a lot of aspects of other series that we love, like Faithful and the Fallen and things like that. And I just think it sounds absolutely phenomenal, and I can't wait to read it. And I'm hoping to buddy read that with Abby, Books and Three Cats. Can I just say, this list is also majority buddy reads with Abby. Like, Abby, she might not know this. No, she does know, but if she didn't already know, then she's reading all of these with me. Another book that is on my list for 2026, I just made any jump, is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. This book has been on my list for so long, but I really recently heard about it being spoken about by Mads from the channel Chris and Mads. Mads, I think, has spoken about this so much and said that this is probably going to be her book of the year, which, I mean, that's high praise considering she's reread Lord of the Rings, she's reread Live Ships, she's read Fitz and the Fool, she's read Tawny Man. Considering all of those books are in her 2025 list and this is topping them, that speaks volumes. So Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. I am really looking forward to this. It is, of course, a standalone. I will just quickly, so it's set in Korea. Teenage Sunya, the adored daughter of a crippled fisherman, falls for a wealthy yakuza. He promises her the world, but when she discovers she is pregnant and that her lover is married, she refuses to be bought. Facing ruin, she accepts an offer of marriage from a gentle minister passing through on his way to Japan. Following a man she barely knows to a hostile country where she has no friends, Sunya will be forced to make some difficult choices. Her decisions will echo through the decades, and I believe this spans a huge amount of time. So I think this is about 80 years or so throughout history, so throughout world wars and things like that. And to do all that in such a small page count is okay. No, it's a fair few, but 100 or so years of story in, what is this, about 500 pages? 550 pages. Impressive. I can't wait for this. I think it's going to be a favourite for us, Abby. Another book that I really want to get to in 2026, again, another buddy read with Abby, Books and Three Cats. I'm sorry, Abby, you're not going to get rid of me. I'm going to be dipping back into my Stephen King journey. I've read the first book in the Dark Tower series and I struggled with it. I did struggle with it, but I've heard actually that is quite common. So I may go back into that one day. I would also really like to read Misery, and I would love to read a few others of his, Pet Cemetery, and also another one that I just can't think of at the moment. It's not in my head, but a book by him that I have heard so many incredible things about is 11/22/63. I think this is a sort of historical fiction, so moving away from the horror, but I believe that it's sort of established Stephen King as a favourite author for so many people, and apparently the relationship in that book, the romance, is stunning, and I've heard the most incredible things, and I can't wait to read it. So 11/22/63 is on my list. Another book that is on my list for 2026, again, Abby, you're reading this with me, is the Lost Queen series by Signe Pike. This is kind of like Arthurian inspired. So apparently the characters that this is about are the characters that the Merlin and sort of Arthurian legend characters are based on. So very, very interesting. I'm really excited about this. Again, Chris and Mads read this year. I think Mads read this year, definitely, the trilogy, and absolutely adored it. I love sort of Arthurian legend, Arthurian tales, and so having sort of another sort of inspiration from that is brilliant. And apparently it sort of gives a very similar feeling to the show Outlander, which is, or the books Outlander as well, but the show in particular. And I think of that aesthetic, and I think, yes, I want to read that. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. I can't wait. So the Lost Queen series by Signe Pike. Another book that is on my list is The Raven Scholar. Now, for the life of me, I did not write down the name of the author, so please, apologies. I shall put the author's name. I'll put the front cover of the book on the screen here. Forgive me, I did not write the author's name down. But The Raven Scholar is also on mine and Abby's list. I've heard the most incredible things about this book. This has been in a lot of people's top books of the year 2025 list. So I need to know more. I need to know more. Yeah, I've heard the most wonderful things. Another series that I should have mentioned earlier is also that I want to get as up to date with Red Rising as possible. So book 6, Lightbringer, is going to be on my TBR in 2026. I'm definitely not going to get to it in 2025. I'm currently reading Dark Age, which is book 5, but Lightbringer is the next book in the series, book 6, and apparently is absolutely fantastic. Obviously, book 7, the final book, Red God, has not been released yet. We don't have a release date for it, but I want to get as up to date as possible with Red Rising, so we'll also be carrying on with that. I should have mentioned that earlier. Another book that is high on my priority list for 2026 is Boudicca's Daughter by Elodie Harper. I've just been talking to Abby about this actually in the chat that we just had, and she loved this book. She loved this book. Now, I love Elodie Harper. She wrote the Wolf Den trilogy, which is an incredible trilogy, and when Abby was telling me about her experience of reading this and that she met Elodie actually at a book event this year and how incredible Elodie was, and Abby said, when I just spoke to her about this just a few moments ago, she said that something that Elodie found really interesting and quite terrifying as well is that obviously Boudica is infamous. You know, she's incredibly infamous, but Boudica, nobody knew the names of her daughters. Nobody knew their names. But the only thing that was known about them, I think Abby said, is the only thing that was known about them was that they were sexually assaulted by Roman soldiers. That's the only thing. We didn't even know their names. How shocking is that? Knowing that, I can't think of a better author to tackle this and speak about them and give them voice, give them life. And I'm really excited for this. Abby loved it. I know I will love it. Boudicca's Daughter. Another book that I'm desperate to get to is Six Wild Crowns by Holly Race. This is another incredible book that Abby was telling me about. So this is like another rethinking of the sort of Tudor era, but we include, it's fantasy. So we've got dragons and things, and I believe it's sapphic, which is fantastic. We love that. So again, Abby said amazing things about this. Imi said amazing things about this. Look at it. Look at it. It's gorgeous. I can't wait to read this. Another series I would love to get to if I get time is the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch, starting with The Lies of Locke Lamora. Okay, forgive me, I had to pause the recording for a moment. I was talking about The Lies of Locke Lamora, so the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch. Now, I very incorrectly said in a previous video that this was a trilogy. It's not a trilogy. Apparently there is going to be a book 4. We just don't know when it's being released, but that's very exciting. I know from so many people that the Gentleman Bastard series is a great series and one of their favourites. I've heard a lot of incredible things about the main relationship between two friends in this series. I've forgotten their names. Locke and I think it's Locke and Jean, I think, are two characters that their relationship and their friendship gets mentioned a lot. So I'm really excited for this. And I've heard that it's a series that people that know me and what I enjoy think I will really like. So I can't wait to read this. Also, the author for Raven Scholar is Antonia Hodgson. I can't believe I didn't write it down. I feel so silly. Okay, another series that I really need to get to. You guys are going to, if you've been watching my channel for any period of time now, you will probably know that this series, I have been saying for the entire time I've been on this channel that I'm going to get to it. And that is The Demon Cycle by Peter V. Brett. The reason it keeps getting pushed is because it's quite a big series, and other series keep coming up in terms of buddy reads and things like that. And so it just keeps getting sort of pushed to the side, but I really, really want to read it. So I'm really hoping I get some time in 2026. If I don't, I don't. If I do, brilliant. So this is a series where our main character lives in a world where at nighttime, demons sort of rise up and attack. And I believe in America, this is called the Warded Man, not the Painted Man. And my understanding is that these people are getting by and avoiding the demons by placing up these magical wards at nighttime. And I'm not sure if something goes wrong with the wards or something like that, but the main character, I think, manages to find a way around this or manages to find something to do with it. I'm not quite sure, but it's to do with wards and demons, and I'm really excited for this. I've heard amazing things. I've also heard some controversial things, so I'm interested to see where those things lie and how they are tackled and approached. Maybe the approach is where the controversy comes from, so I'm not 100% sure. But I didn't want to spoil it for myself by looking into it too deeply, so I understand that apparently it can be quite controversial, but we shall see. We shall see. But it's a series I'm nevertheless really looking forward to getting to. So, The Demon Cycle by Peter V. Brett. Another couple of books that I really want to get to are technically together, but I believe can also be read separately. And they are by Christopher Buehlman, and that is The Daughter's War and also The Black Tongue Thief. Now, I believe The Black Tongue Thief usually is read prior to The Daughter's War, but the brothers Gwyn have confirmed that The Daughter's War can be read first, and it's absolutely fine. And they absolutely adore this book and say that their dad, John Gwyn, the author himself, loves this book too. So I've been tempted to start The Daughter's War first. Apparently, this very much features goblins, but not any kind of goblin. Bad goblins, really bad goblins, terrifying goblins, and that really intrigues me because I do really like it when a character like that, like an orc, for example, when they're actually quite terrifying. Like if I think like when I watched Lord of the Rings for the first time and saw the Uruk-hai, terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And that's what I want. I want to feel quite scared. And another example of this would be something like dragons. Generally, in books, they're obviously there's sort of an animal companion side to them where they're very friendly and form very positive relationships, which I love. But then I also like it when they're genuinely terrifying and really awful and intimidating. And the goblins sound like they are actually that in this book, and I'm really looking forward to it. I believe this also has a female main character, which I love. Okay, so the goblins have killed all of our horses and most of our men. They have enslaved our cities, burned our fields, and still they wage war. Now our daughters take up arms. Galvasha, to her 3 brothers, 2 of whom the goblins will kill, has defied her family's wishes and joined the army's untested new unit, the Raven Knights. They march towards a once beautiful city overrun by the goblin horde, accompanied by some scores of giant war corvids. Made with the darkest magics, these fearsome blackbirds may hold the key to stopping the goblins in their war to make cattle of mankind. The road to victory is bloody, and goblins are clever and merciless. The Raven Knights can take nothing for granted, not the bonds of family, nor the wisdom of their leaders, nor their own safety against the dangerous war birds at their side. But some hopes are worth any risk. It sounds fantastic. Also, corvids, the use of like giant corvids. Corvids are an incredible family of birds. I love them, so I'm about to get even more obsessed. So I'm hoping to get to this, and of course the Black Tongue Thief as well. I also have some, oh my gosh, Tower of Books just fell down. Oopsie. Also, a couple of authors that will be new to me in 2026 as well that I want to mention. I would also really like to read some of the work of Giles Christian. Giles Christian is a sort of historical author that I know the brothers Gwyn, Will and Ed really adore, and I know so many people love his work, and I've heard a lot about his Arthurian trilogy, which I believe is Arthur, Lancelot and Camelot. I believe those are the 3 titles. I'm not quite sure what order they come in actually. I think they're kind of actually standalones but can be read together. And I love Arthurian legend. I've heard amazing things about Giles Christian, so I really want to get to those at some point if I can. I also really want to read Boudica by Manda Scott. Manda Scott is an author, and Boudica in particular is a book that, again, Will and Ed on the Brothers Gwyn talk about all the time and how incredible it is. I would love to try this book. I've heard the most incredible things about it. It sounds fantastic, so I really would love to get to that. I also, in 2026, will probably be prioritising some other reads. So sort of going back to, not my roots as such, but this is the first year really that I have listened to any audiobooks that are fiction. This is the first year that I've really started listening to fiction audio. I used to really struggle to listen to fiction audio because my train of thought would get lost too easily and I couldn't really get in the zone and I would miss a lot of the information. So following a narrative I would really struggle with. I would often listen to a lot of non-fiction books, such as Unruly by David Mitchell, or I would listen to science books and things like that. I found them a lot easier to listen to because it just felt like listening to a podcast. And if you missed the odd bit of information, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't add to a plot as such. And So I kind of want to go back to that a little bit. I really loved listening to a lot of nonfiction. And this year I've really, really enjoyed getting sort of back to listening to a lot of historical books. And so I think I really want to read a lot more historical books, but nonfiction and science as well. I love reading scientific books. So I think I would like to listen to a lot more of those. Though these are not all of the books I plan on reading in 2026, there are many more. These are just some of my priorities for 2026. For example, I could say another one would be something like restarting the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. I read Jade City last year and really enjoyed it, but I never carried on. I just didn't feel the urge to carry on. But recently I've been feeling a bit more of an urge, and so I would like to read that at some point as well and pick that up again. There are definitely so many books I want to read in 2026, and the thing is that I've done so many buddy reads this year, which has been fantastic, and I don't want that to change. But it has meant that I've not been able to mood read as much as I would like, and also sometimes I have not listened to myself and I've gone ahead and tried and mood read to mood read at the same time, and then I've had lots of books being read at the same time. And I feel like I've done some of the books, I've not done them justice, because I've kind of read multiple books at once and my brain has had to focus on multiple plot lines, and I've sort of stretched myself too thin and not really given the books the attention and the time that they deserve. And I've been almost going against what I believe in terms of reading as not a sport. It's not in terms of I want to read as much as humanly possible. It's more of the excitement of there are so many books that I want to read. I just wish I could read them all at the same time. And so sometimes I try to do that and then realise it's probably not for the best. Anyway, those are some of my priority reads for 2026. I hope I get to as many of them as possible, but I might not be able to, but that's absolutely fine. Those are some of my priorities for 2026. I haven't mentioned all of them. I want to give myself some room for some sort of spontaneous reading, but these are a big chunk of books that I really want to prioritise in 2026. Let me know what you think of my list. Please let me know in the comments below. If you made it to this point in the video, if you made it to the end, comment a little, let's have a little crow, a little raven for the Corvids. If you got to this point in the video, please let me know. Please let me know what your priorities are for 2026. What are your priorities? I think I've been a bit unrealistic. I've listed a lot of books there and a lot of series, big series as well. So I think I'm being wholeheartedly unrealistic in my ambitions, but I'm mentioning them anyway. And if they go to 2027, who cares? It doesn't matter. Good books are good forever. So yeah. But let me know what your priorities are for 2026 as well. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please do give it a like. I would be so, so grateful. And if you would like to stick around and become a firm member of the Library of Silversaint, then please do hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye.